Hey there, Susan Gaddy here. Welcome back. If you've been in this series before, then we've already had the opportunity to meet, and you know that I am a Disruptive Spark Advisor and that I head up the team that has anything to do with creating our highly exceptional content and our results-based content here at Disruptive Spark. And I want to finish this series with you by talking about this whole concept of unrealistic expectations. Raise your hand with me if you are in agreement that as a society, our expectations have gotten completely out of alignment. All of our food is triple, quadruple the size, right? Our athletes are getting paid exorbitant amount of money. Even as young children, if you have young children, you know that we're already training them as professional athletes from the time they're 4, 5, and 6, and they're getting these crazy injuries that are happening even before they hit puberty. We're burning people out. We're turning people up. And if you look at the statistics around what's happening at work, we're not getting better. We're actually, even though we have all the technology, all the resources, everything at our disposal these days, we're not getting happier. And we're actually not getting healthier as a nation and as a company or within our companies. So what we really need to do, and I encourage you to think about, is are you right sizing and creating goals that are achievable? And most importantly, do they have milestones? Because that's where I think for leaders, especially executive leaders, in an organization, if this happens to be you, please lean in. And if you're happening to be terrorized right now by a leader with these kind of insane expectations, understand this. The most successful people in an organization have about 20% of people have, I'm going to call it, a genetic abnormality. Now, I don't mean this in a condescending way, but think about it. Professional athletes, what makes somebody an elite athlete is that there's something in their body that works differently than less than 10% of the population. So they are already skewed, we're going to say skewed to the left. Even if you and I trained to be a professional hockey player, if you don't have an eyesight that allows you to see the individuality of a hockey puck going 100 miles an hour, you're never going to be able to perform. It doesn't matter how much money or time or energy you invest. Same thing is true when you think about climbing the corporate ladder and really getting to the upper echelons within an organization. There is something about that small population of people. Remember, we're talking about, 10% of the entire population ever gets beyond that AVP level and into those most senior positions. They tend to have, this is so interesting, but they tend to have this ability to not be affected physiologically, which is the first thing we talked about, right? And they have cultivated a highly effective story loop that makes them unstoppable. Again, that is about 10% of the population. And a lot of times they are either born with those skills or they have gone through a significant amount of conditioning and have chosen to create that space for themselves. What I think is even more interesting is that even within that population, that high achiever population, you would be surprised to know how many of them go on to have mental breakdowns, nervous breakdowns, develop serious health complications, right? And oftentimes have tremendous amounts of difficulties in their personal lives, simply because they've cultivated this mindset around the singular focus. So it's incredible to see the benefit and the value of that. But it does not allow for 80 to 85% of the organization that doesn't actually have that end goal in mind and who want to be able to come in and out of work as it fits into their life's plan. For me personally, I was on that senior track, and I hustled myself all the way to the corner office, leading the head of Ann Taylor University, looking out over Times Square, and boy, had I thought I had arrived. And in reality, I really had. And then, and then reality hit and everything came tumbling down. And what I realized is that I was able to use singular focus to move me in that direction, but ultimately that wasn't sustainable. I had developed some serious issues with my health, with my mental health. I believe it was a core problem for me in trying to conceive my first child. I was not able to conceive and needed to do in vitro. I did not have a diagnosis of anything that was causing. I believe it was solely the stress that I was under in those circumstances. And I think there's a lot of other contributing factors that go into that. But that reaching the pinnacle of that position gives me the credibility and the power to stand before you and say, we are unrealistic in our purview of what success looks like. And we have cultivated a belief that if we don't sacrifice everything and give 150%, let alone 100%, that we can't be successful. And I want you to know something that couldn't be any further from the truth. I broke every one of those rules that I was told. I left when I had my child. I stayed home. I changed industries. I tried new things, and I have systematically rebuilt very productive companies to six-figure level and beyond, which as a female entrepreneur, there's less than 90% of the population that ever achieved that goal. 10% and less ever achieve a 6% revenue. Let alone to do it multiple times in multiple industries. So I've done it from real estate to owning an instructional design company. And now again, as I continue to build out this next business that I'm in, which is our Disruptive Spark Business Consulting. So I want to encourage everyone who's gotten this far to remind yourselves, it's not true. You can come in and out of life, in and out of your work. You can search for, if not balance, you can search for the concept of, is this the right thing for me at the right time? And really, you're the only person that can answer that question. And what I'm most proud of that we've built into everything that we do in Disruptive Spark is really empowering people to make decisions and choices that are good for them, and teaching a process around how to get comfortable in sharing that with others around you, whether that's in your family systems, whether that's in your work systems, whether it's helping you to right size how you think about your career and what it is that you really want. Many times we're working towards goals that were never ours to begin with. They were the thing that we were told that we were allowed to have. And so for us, the hallmark of everything in our Be the CEO of You program, the hallmark in every client that we work with to help them achieve their revenue goals and their missions in their organizations, is this idea of how do you create empowerment within people. And we have an incredible empowerment model that I would dearly love the opportunity to share with you, which we only do with inside every single one of our programs. So if for nothing else, I encourage you to reach out to one of our advisors, reach out to me. I'm always available at Susan Gaddy 1 on social, at Disruptive Spark. But this idea of learning how to be empowered and to be able to put yourself in the center of the circle and create things around you it's going to feel like magic, but it's actually quite scientific. And I really hope that you take the opportunity to do that with us. Please feel free to reach out 516-202-8884. Thanks again.